Oh, man. I just love these square curves. Don't worry about all that dirt. I'll get it off with a wash mitt later. I just know that this thing's gonna... Oh, hey. Didn't know you was standing right there. Listen, I know what you're gonna say. And don't come at me, okay, with those words of hurt and trying to intentionally bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I know what I said, okay? I said I had too many irons in the fire. Said I wasn't gonna get another one. But then my wife was like, hey, I tell you what, we ain't done it in a while. I get some money, you get some money. And she told me just as long as I don't get another project, that everything will be all right. But then I got another project. But hear me out. It's the biggin', not the littlin'. So I'll get the same, if not a little worse, gas mileage, but I'll be able to haul some more people and haul some stuff in the back, and that thing comes off. And I know, haven't I been somewhere here before? It all sounds familiar. And the reason why it does is because I got an addiction. Is it a drinking addiction? Is it a drug addiction? No, not by any means. But it's an addiction of buying bull noses. So with that being said, can we get this 86 Ford Bronco that's been sitting about 9 years running and driving again? Well, I guess you're just going to have to stick around to find out. By the way, if you haven't yet, make sure you like, tune in, subscribe, smash that bell, share this out. Do whatever you can so that way more people can see more of this cornbread content that I'm trying to push out. And welcome to the channel. Now, I guess before we get started working on this thing, we should at least go through, take a look at it, see what we're working with. Ooh, found some sticks. One looks like a fishing rod holder. And it's got them growing everywhere. The dirt daubers are everywhere too. Now, I guess the best place to start would be some background on this truck. Every Sunday, or every time I would drive down this specific road, I always seen this thing sitting in the field and seen that it was just not being messed with. And once I got the not okay look from my wife, I decided to stop. And the first time I didn't get nothing. But the second time, I went to his neighbor's house, got a hold of him, and said that this is his grandson's and that he'd been talking about getting rid of it here recently, so I hit it right on the nail head. Talked to him, asked him how much he wanted for it, said shoot me a price. I shot him a price, and honestly I think I got a good deal in it, because as of right now I only got $700 in this thing. Now my buddy looked up the VIN on the door. This is a 302 powered Bronco, not the 351. I wish it had the 351, but to be honest, you know, 351s They offer a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more torque, but the gas mileage difference between the 302 and the 351, from what I've heard from other people, is like night and day compared to the power difference. Not unless you plan on building them. But, you know, I don't know what plans I got with this old Bronco. I know one thing, I'm gonna drive it. But as far as like, you know, the motor and everything else, well, it just depends on what's wrong with it. But let's look over this thing and let's see what all we got to work with. I don't know if that's a true ranch hand. You know, ranch hands now are like the big old bumpers that come across, but you know, this could have been something that they made back in the day. I hate that it's bent out real bad, like somebody pulled it with a tractor. Look at that front bumper. I mean, it is immaculate. Now, a lot of y'all will look at that motor and be like, I want to stay away from it. Not me. I mean, Chief down there, he's got the same style motor. I know the setup. I know the problem that I had with him. And I wonder if I'm going to have the same problem with, you know, this Bronco. Who knows? When I pulled it out the field, all 4 tires had air. Let's take a look at the inside. Now I'm gonna point out a couple things. 3 things, actually, that I fell in love with. 1 is the chairs have armrests. 2 is the wood grain on all the panels. And 3 is the center console. Now there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm gonna have to get out. Ooh, not that though. Yeah, we'll go through this and get rid of what we don't need. Now there's actually a lot of stuff in here, a lot of stuff that could be put to good use. And I'm gonna call the guy and make sure that he don't want it. You know, I don't want to take something from somebody that they didn't even know that they had in here. So I want to do the right and respectful thing. Call him, make sure that he don't want nothing in here before I go in here and, you know, start digging through some things. Because there's that. There's looks like a bait caster sitting over there. There's shirts and different things. I mean, there's pry bar. There's old hat in here. There's even looks like a crowbar out over there, made out of rebar. A slipper. I mean, look at that. Is that camo on the inside of that slipper? I'll be daggone, it is. Somebody's spit bottle. I mean, a bullet that... Oh, it has been fired. Dadgummit. I mean, this is just my kind of vehicle. Then we got all this stuff in the back. That right there looks like it's to a mower. Like it's the guards that go on like a hay bind. And we got a oar. A pair of dancing shoes. We go dancing now. A grease gun. And then a big old clamp over there. I don't know. There's just all kinds of stuff in here. And it needs to be gone through. But I want to call him first. Be respectful about it. I don't know if any of this stuff has sentimental value. And I know if it was me, if I'd left something in a vehicle that I'd sold, I'd want somebody to contact me about it. Now another thing I can appreciate is that big old bench seat. And just how, really, from what I could tell, how good it looks. Now the headliner's tore down, of course, but that's to be expected. And I don't know how hard it's going to be to take this top off. But I know that's one thing that I want to do, is I want to take this top off and see what it looks like without it. Now it's a 5-digit odometer, and it says 41426. Now that could be 141,000 miles, or that could be 241. So we'll just take a look at these pedals right here. And from what I can see, somebody hung the left side of their boot off on the right side of the brake pedal. It's not much wear on the gas pedal. So I would say 141,000 miles. And right there's evidence right there of it sitting since 2017. That and the inspection sticker out here. The inspection sticker is 4 of 18. Now the good thing about this truck right here, it being only sitting for 9 years, and the fact that the inspection sticker was good, it had brakes. I'm thinking that this one's going to be an easy runner as long as it gets fuel, it has spark, and ain't nothing wrong with the motor. But you know, with all these old motors, all it takes is just fuel air, spark, you know, something to burn it. And then on these fuel injection models, well, it could be something a little bit extra. Could be a clipped wire, could be a sensor. You know, these systems right here have that distributor with what some people say is a good system, but I don't really care for it, just because that the ICM on the side of the distributor can sometimes get loose and lose connection. And then if you want to replace the pickup down inside the distributor, you just might as well replace the whole distributor, because that means beating the bottom out of it and taking that gear out. So we're going to get to it. The first place we're going to need to work at is getting a battery and just, you know, turning the switch on and seeing if we can hear anything, fuel pump kick on, and just see exactly what's wrong with this thing. But that means I got to run to the store. So I'm going to go there, pick up battery, pick up oil, and I'll be back to you. So before we run to the store and get a battery for this thing, because I know we're going to need a battery, we're going to need some oil that we can change into this thing, we might as well just check over the fluids, see what they say. Oh, yeah. Bone dry. Hello, hello. Now, one common myth that people will tell you about oil is the fact that you have to taste it. All you have to do is smell it. God gave you 5 senses for a reason. You don't have to go around licking everything. Yep, smells like 1030. I don't see no moisture in it. And it smells a little bit like gas, which is perfect for these old 302s. That's about how they smell anyway. Now, how much juice do we got in here? Oh, thing was actually pretty loose. Like somebody's been in it a while. Oh. Ew. Well, we might have to clean that out. Make sure we don't press on the brakes no more. We can say that this side probably has a leak. But now that side, maybe the reason why it doesn't have a leak is because all that gunk that's inside of there. What is that? Have y'all seen that before? Got a ding right here on this side. But other than that, you know, the body's, you know, pretty straight and ain't got much rust in it on this side. The worst of the rust is right back here on the tailgate. And I haven't quite figured out how to open that thing yet. And as far as the door jambs, I know the other side's clean, but now this one has a little spot of rust up here. It's trying to start. We'll probably need to take care of that. As far as the rest of it, looks good. Now the top of it, well, somebody's rough. There's like a ding there, ding there, ding there. Some of them we can pop out. But honestly, I'm not too worried about the dings that's on the top, because nobody's gonna see that anyway. We can pop it, we can pop out. And, you know, for the time being, it's gonna be this color and this rusty for a little bit. It's only gonna change if I decide to go through and actually fix this thing up, you know. And with Chief and Copper, I want to fix this thing up, but I think after I get this thing running and get it to where I can move it around, I'll probably get Copper running again, and he'll be my main one that I run around. Because if you didn't know, I'm getting rid of Todd. Yeah, I know. I've talked about it, and I love Todd, but as far as serving a purpose, he's rode me around a little bit. But gas mileage in that thing just ain't the greatest. And as far as the power, well, 2.9s ain't got it. They'll get you from A to B, but as far as pulling, towing, or hauling anybody, and I got, you know, a good sized family, just can't do it. So I'm gonna get Copper running, and then I'm gonna set this thing back with Chief, and I might put this one on the road too, just to have a, you know, a family car. But as far as me driving it all the time, I just ain't gonna do it. I believe Copper will be my daily driver. So now the plan is battery, oil, gas. Need those 3 things before we can do anything. And then after that, we might get a E303 cam and get some GT40P heads, get some headers, put some true exhaust, and it will be ready to go. Well, fellers, we're back. And you know the first place we got to start at, that's giving it a good battery. See if I can get these little devils off of here. Get off her. Get off her. That's what I thought. And I can already see problem number one that we're going to have. So we're going to need to take care of that. And see, somebody decided to leave the nut and bolt off my positive side cable. That's all right. I got the perfect tool for that. And we can get it on there. No problem. Good on there. Now how we're going to fix this is going to be in the most professional of ways. Gonna take, woo, yeah, something drawing power. Back to what I was saying, we're gonna take this, shove it somewhere right about there, and then we're gonna take a set of vice grips and then clamp on her. And it ain't gonna go nowhere. There we go. Before we even try to stick a key in this thing and to see if it'll start, we're gonna put a socket down there on the crank, and we're just gonna turn this thing over by hand, just in case there was any moisture that got inside this engine. I don't quite know, because with the intake hoses right here being off, you know, I don't know if something got in there. I don't know if moisture's got in there. I highly doubt it, because the underneath of this motor, you know, was fairly well, you know, covered with this hood. Hood wasn't open or nothing. So unless something's got in there, I don't think we're going to have any issue. But I need to turn it over just to make sure. Yeah. I believe I hit it right on the nail head with that one. See if we're going to need the extension. Yep. Whoa! Get off. Get off. Well, that wasn't good. While I was sitting down there, I hadn't had any metal or nothing touching. This wasn't warm, but something in this solenoid right here, I believe just went kaflooey. I don't know if you heard it on camera, but it sizzled, and then a bunch of smoke just went everywhere. So I feel like that's one thing we're gonna have to replace. I want to tell you something. Don't ever get fat. Oh, because if you do, it'll make your life a whole lot harder. Is that gonna work? Yeah, that's gonna work. These transmission lines are less than to be desired. There we go. All right. See if she turns. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh gosh. Hey, this thing's tough. Got a lot of compression. Whew. Oh gosh. See if we can't make a full turn on it. Oh god. Whew. Oh, it just went a little bit easier. Oh, compression stroke. Oh. Yeah, I could tell something was binding up. Don't you wish your boyfriend was hot like me? Don't you wish your boyfriend was a freak like me? Don't you? Let's fill you up. Go 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 go. Whoa! It's more full than what I thought. You know, if you don't spill some, are you really getting the job done the right way? Now, usually, I drop tanks down before I even, you know, try to start it off of whatever's inside there and try to clean them, because it doesn't make a difference what situation I think I've ever been in, whether it was with Chief or Copper or all the other bull noses I had before then. Either the tank was gummed up or it was so badly rusted that you just couldn't use it. But no, we're going to do it different this time. We're going to see if we can just get by with dumping some juice down inside the tank and letting everything rejuvenate if it is dry in there. And if it ain't dry and there's some old gas in there, maybe it might rejuvenate it back up. Woo! Yeah, it's stale. Guilt. Honestly, don't think I heard anything in that tank. So either it's plumb dry or all the gas in there that has just gelled up. I got me one of them good spouts now. It's not government controlled, which means I can pour out as much gas on the ground that I want. Stop it. Quit. There goes that alarm. And there goes that donkey again. Woo! Reminds me of one of them 1930 jailbreak scenes. You know, where they tiptoe out and then they're caught and they're like... But now that we got the gas tank full of this motor treatment and 5 gallons of gas, we're going to top off the radiator one more time. We're going to put everything up, go to the parts store, see if they have a starter solenoid, come back, put it on, and we'll try this thing and just see what it'll do. Well, I'm going to get to it, and I'll get back to y'all when I get back. All right, fellas, we're back from the parts store. Got a new starter solenoid on this thing, and we're ready to about fire it up. But I want to give you a little tip before I do this. Now, I want you to understand, I am not a professional by any means. I can make mistakes just like anybody else can. And as many times as you put batteries in the right way, there can always be that one time, well, that you put them in the wrong way. And that's what I did. I had the negative side going to the starter solenoid, and I had the positive side going to the ground. And that bzzzt, what that was the wire that goes to the inside of the cab that, powers everything, I guess, that you cut on, with your switch. And there's a fusible link right there. And I noticed that right there on the end, that is a little melted. And I smelt it, and it smelt a little burnt. So there's a good chance that we're going to have to cut that fusible link out and do it like we did on Chief and just straight wire it. I don't advise that by any means, and this was completely and 100% my mistake if this doesn't work. And one thing that can show me evidence right now that we're going to have to do that is I got the door open, and I don't hear that unique sound that all these bullnoses have whenever the door's open. Then you turn the switch on and you hear. We're going to hit that key and see if it does anything. I highly doubt it, but it might surprise me. Uh-oh, ain't a good sign. Nope. Nothing. I know what that means. Dadgummit. But it is what it is. Sometimes you make mistakes. I just wish my brain would have been working a little bit better on that. Let me show you my process of elimination. Okay? I tested the battery. The battery was good. Then I tested the starter solenoid to see if it was good by just contacting this point and this point. You can tell right there from the burn spot, it was good, and it did turn over the motor. But this wire right here, I could not get power to, and that's the one that I cut the fusible link off of. So I was sitting there thinking, what could be wrong? Because every time I would take the other side of the wire that went from the solenoid over to that wire, well, I would get, 12 volts, which is basically what you're supposed to have, and that's what's supposed to run power to the inside of the cab. Well, as I was trying to wrap my mind around it, every time I'd hook up that wire, I'd lose power, and it was like it had such a draw. I figured it had a broke wire going somewhere in there to the fuse panel, and it was just grinding it out real bad. After I tightened everything down, made sure it was tight really good, I wasn't getting no power to this one wire coming from the solenoid, and I found out why. Now looking at it, you could just see that, well, the wire looks fine. This end's clean. I mean, it's a little rubbery, but then you get out here and whoop, look at that. Broke connection, and right there's the wire, and this end was the end that, burned up. So I'm gonna do the right thing and take you a speaker wire that I got down there, because it's about the same size, and I'm gonna hook it up right there.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, girl.
Look what I got.
What you got?
After school.
Oh, little heart candies. You better get over there before she throws a hissy fit. What you doing, buddy?
I picked up my rocks.
You know it's getting ready to rain?
No. Yeah, but we're going to play for an hour.
I think I'm still going to wait a little bit and see what the weather does. Because if it starts pouring it down, I know they'll go inside. So I'll get back to you. Maybe this storm will pass. If it don't, maybe I might, get back with y'all tomorrow. But that's the update. I'll see y'all till then. I am so relieved right now. Just to know that I fixed something and could figure out what it was, even though I caused the problem. Look at that right there. That even works. Ain't that cool? No, it ain't the prettiest, but it's not warm. It's staying cold. And then I just spliced them together right there. I didn't have no connector to crimp it down, so I just twisted them and then took some heat shrink. It ain't going nowhere. But even though we got power out here, do we have power inside the cab? That is the question. Well, let's go see. Oh, Lord. Please let us have power. Get the key right there. Oh, that's a good sign. Oh, yeah, look at that. Listen to that. Listen to that. It don't sound the best, but listen to it. It's got a real sound to it, which ain't good, but at least we're one step further. We got it starting. We got power running to it. So now, I would say the best thing to probably do is to see if we got fuel. And if we ain't got fuel, then we got something going on there. I figured that'd be a good place to start. And if we got fuel, then we need to check for spark. And after we check for spark, and if we got both of those, well, shouldn't be no reason why it shouldn't run. I guess now would be the best time. Check and see if we got fuel. Believe I can reach it from here. Barely anything came out. Well, we'll try it again. I'm gonna be honest. I can't hear nothing whenever I cut the switch on. So, it's not a good sign. I'm relieving the pressure to the valve here on the fuel rail, and it's just blowing out a little psst of air, which means one of 1,000 things. Numero uno, well, that would be the high pressure pump has just went kaput. Number 2, the fuel sending unit in the tank is no longer there. Number 3, the low pressure fuel pump inside of the tank is either stopped up, rusted to pieces, or it just ain't working. And with all that being said, I've already got a leak in the tank. So yeah, you know what that means. Probably going to get a high pressure fuel pump, then a low pressure fuel pump, spend the money on the sending unit, and then get that little vent valve, go back there and drop it down. Now it's going to be heavier because I got gas in it. I didn't know if there was gas in it before, but probably not because it leaked it all out. But just for craps and giggles, let me get something and spray it in the intake and see if it'll fire off of it. I don't want to do much, I just want to do enough because I know this starting fluid is probably pretty harsh on these motors. Way too much. Okay, nothing there. Let's do a little bit more. All right, I heard it bark a little bit. Starting to build up oil pressure, or at least I think it is. That's a good sign. That's a sign that we might have spark. Hi, will you do me a favor? Hit that switch while I spray this in there. Wire's still staying cold, which is good. It's a little sticky or tough, so I'll tell you when to stop, okay? Ready? Go. All right, stop. All right, do it again. Stop. All right. Might not have no spark. I thought I was getting spark. Don't sound like it. Do it again. All right, it's good. Let's go ahead and shut it off. I don't know if this starting fluid's any count, but I'd say that it is, and I'm not blaming it on it at all. We probably just ain't got spark. And if we ain't got spark and we ain't got fuel, well, that means we need fuel. That means we need spark. So if we can get those two things, we'll be in pretty good shape. Coming down on daylight, there's some things that we have to go do. We'll spend some time with the family. So I'm gonna be ordering some parts, everything that I probably need for this thing. And then once I get them ordered, then I'll come back at you and we'll see if we can't get this thing fired up and running. So I'm gonna clean up and I'll get back to y'all when I have everything that I need. Good morning, fellers. Out here with the 86 Bronco this morning. I figured, and I just got to thinking, why don't we try to do what we did with Chief and just stick a hose down inside a gas can before we go and buy all the parts we need for the gas tank? Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna do it anyway, but I want to do it this method because I want to make sure that there ain't nothing wrong with the motor. I need to at least make sure that it's going to run good, so that way I don't sink a bunch of money in those parts, and if I have to put it in the motor, I could put it into it first. So with that being said, fellers, we're going to get to it. All right, I'm back. And I think I got everything hooked up the right way. Got a feed line, return line. It got a filter on the return line. It has both. It has the inline style, sits in front of the high pressure fuel pump. And then it has the canister type, which, you know, runs the feed line and the return side goes through it too. So that's just more places to leak. Great. But with that being said, I got it hooked up. We're gonna try it. If we don't get nothing, well, we know we have a spark issue. And then we know where to check there. I did buy a high pressure fuel pump just in case this one was bad. But after I got the line hooked up, I stuck my ear to the hose and turned on the switch, and I could hear the pump working. So let's hook up the battery. No sparkles. Probably need to tighten that up though. Good enough. Leave that there. Let's see what we got. All right. Don't quite know if we're getting fuel through that line. Might have to prime it up a little bit. Okay. One more time. All right. I'm gonna hit it with some of that starting fluid now that it's got fuel running to it. Well, it seemed like it wanted to jump off, at least right there at the beginning. But then it just went away. I grant you, we're having an issue with spark. So let's take out spark plug on this side. I believe this is the number one, or that's the number one. It's either one. And we'll see if we have spark. We'll also see what the spark plug looks like when it's out. Who knows? Maybe the thing needs a new set of plugs. But you know, if we can get by with the ones we got, we're just gonna do that, at least for now. These wires on here don't look the best. Well, get out of here. I don't want you. All right. What do you look like? Whew. Soaked in gas. Now. But it's AC Delco CR43TS. I don't know if that's copper. I don't think it's a platinum plug, but I could be wrong. But one good thing about it is it's not an auto light. Now we're just going to take this plug, hook it back up, set it up against something metal like this right here, and then I'm gonna set y'all up over here because y'all are gonna be my eyes and see if this thing sparks or not. You just let me know. Did you see anything? What about now? All right, I'm gonna do it one more time. You gotta tell me. Well, did you see any spark? I'm just kidding with you. You ain't even here. I don't even know. It's like I'm Dora the Explorer talking to some person on the other side. That's my imagination. What that lets me know is that we got spark and we got fuel because the plug was wet. And now that the spark plug was on the outside and you could visibly see it, I mean, it had spark. It made the spark plugs good because it didn't look bad, didn't look fouled or anything like that. And it was sparking. It tells me the coil's good because we're getting spark. Everything's, working the way it's supposed to work in there. Is it supposed to be hotter or colder? I don't know, but we could visibly see it on the phone. So if you ask me, I think it's pretty good. So if we're getting fuel because the plug was wet and we're getting spark, but it just don't seem to be burning the fuel, what seems to be the issue? Well, it could be a number of things, but if you was to ask me, being the fact that I've dealt with this mess, a few times in my life, I would say it's that pickup in the distributor. So if I was to guess, or if I was to be a betting man, I'd say that'd probably be my issue. I guess the next thing is to get a distributor and see if that changes it. Finally, after waiting a whole day of trying to get this distributor at the parts store, we got it in. Yeah, I said I was going to get back with y'all that evening, but not knowing that all the parts stores that I have in my hometown didn't have one of these in stock. So, what did we have to do? Wait till the next morning. So I'm believing that we hook up this battery, we turn this key over, I'm thinking this thing's gonna fire. If not, I might just cry. But before we do this, let's do one more thing that might help us. Now before we do this, let's do one thing that I know will help us, and it'll probably be the greatest help that we can get. Lord, in the holy name of Jesus, I pray that this vehicle has spark at the right time, fuel at the right time, and that it fires, Lord. And Lord, that you make it run, and it's a 302 that'll get me up, down the road, start every time, and go where I needed to go. In your mighty name as we pray, amen. Now we'll have a whole lot better chance. Key in. Cycle the fuel pump a few times. Here we go. Uh-oh. That is no count. What are we going to do now? You see this? Well, this ain't a good sign. Got to check for spark again. Y'all help me out and tell me what I got. I'm gonna let it turn over a few more times this time. Get that stupid key out of there. It's one thing I can't stand about these Fords. Well, I could tell you, it don't sound good, but it looks better than what you think. What I mean by not sounding good is it still ain't firing. But I will tell you this, and the good thing is that spark looks a little bit more consistent. The only thing I could really say about it is there was a couple times that it looked like that it didn't, but it seemed like it was hitting at the mark that it needed to every time. Now when I took the spark plug out, it was wet. It smelled like fuel. So in reality, it just, looks like to me that it just wasn't burning. I know we got fuel going to it. That ain't no problem. And I know the injectors is spraying it. It's just a matter of the spark plugs themselves just firing it, and getting it to where this vehicle will run. So it is a possibility, well, that these plugs are just gone. I mean, this truck's been sitting for 10 years. I don't know what, caused them to park it. It could have been parked for one reason, and then we fixed that reason. And now there's another reason why it's not running, and it was caused from it just sitting. One of the worst things that you can do to a vehicle is to let it sit. You gotta crank them up at least once a month, take them out, drive them, get the fluids moving, working, get them warm, shut them off. At least once a month, or even better, once a week would be better. Well, I'm back from the parts store, and while I was there, I got to thinking and calling around. I was like, well, how much is a set of spark plug wires? $20. I was like, why not? Get me a set of those, right? And then I was like, well, how much a set of the auto light coppers run me? I only had 3 of them. He's like, I got a set of AC Delcos. And I was like, well, that'd be nice. But it just wouldn't be a Ford if I didn't run Motorcraft in it. So I was like, how much is a set of Motorcraft Platinums? And he said $8 a plug, which is way too much. And I was like, wow, give me 8 of them. So, got 8 of those. And then I was thinking to myself, well, we got the wires, we got the plugs. We might as well just get the whole gang together and get a new coil, right? But then the place I was at said they had 2 of them. Then another guy said, well, we only got one in the computer. And then when they got to looking, they didn't have 0. So I left. Get in the zone, auto zone. And I went to a more lesser known, used to be popular, still around today store called Advanced Auto Parts. And I just went ahead and got me a CarQuest Premium ignition coil. So with that being said, since I done went down a little bit of the rabbit hole, I'm gonna get this stuff on, so that way we can rule out any bit of the spark issues that we're having. All right, after some extensive work and research, I figured out that every item that I bought today, I probably didn't need to buy if I would have just one simple step before I went and bought all those parts. What step is that, you might say? Well, that would be to check top dead center. See, there's 2 firing orders on these 302s. One is for, I guess, the HO roller cam, and this one's a flat tappet. Now, the number 1 cylinder, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where I got mine, is on the passenger side. It's got good spark now. I got fuel running to it, but I was even spraying it in the intake and it wasn't doing nothing. So it just like it wasn't, hitting at the right spot. I got my wife out here. Thank God for a faithful woman who doesn't mind getting her hands greasy and dirty. She came out here, put her finger in the number 1 cylinder hole. I turned it over and then put it on top dead center, when the air quit coming out, that's the redneck way. Took off the cap on the distributor, and I took a picture of how it was supposed to be set beforehand. And instead of it being on the number 1 spark plug, it was on the number 5, which is over here in the front. Whenever this thing was supposed to bring the zap, it was bringing the boom at the wrong time, and the zap and the boom supposed to happen together, and it was supposed to zap and boom over here, and it's just all kinds of whatever. I got it set to where it's supposed to be. If it doesn't fire off this time, having faith that it is, but if it doesn't, then we know it's some other issue besides fuel and spark. All right, here we go. Okay, well, back to the drawing board, I guess. Daggum, what is the deal here? Well, fellers, I'm wore out. Thanks to the good Lord above, I think we're going in the right direction. I figured out something today, and I'm going to share with y'all, but we're going to go back through it to everything that we knew that was wrong with this thing before we figured this out. And this is still going on the probability that, I think I'm about 70% sure that this is the problem. When we first started trying to run this thing, we know we needed to get fuel, and we got that. But we noticed that when we was checking for spark, it was running intermittent, which means like it would hit, and then hit, and then not hit, and then hit. So being what I know, because we do this stuff based off of what we know. So the first thing that I jump to is the pickup and the distributor. But then I go down this rabbit hole, and I just replace everything, so that way we can knock out all that, and we can say that that's not the issue. Not unless we have a bad part from a parts store. And we all know that don't happen. And after we replace those parts, we check for spark again, and it's better, but it's still doing the same thing, like it's, not hitting when it's supposed to. I thought it was just because I wasn't using like an actual spark plug tester. I was just, putting it up against a piece of metal. So I was just like, it's probably good. So going back through, I was like, why don't we put the number 1 cylinder on top dead center? So I got my wife out here. Thank you for the help, wifey. She put her finger in the hole, and then I turned the crank, and then once all the air was out, it was on top dead center. So that was good. After that, I took the cap off the top of the distributor to make sure it was on where it was supposed to be, and it wasn't. Where it was supposed to be pointing at the number 1 cylinder spark plug, it was pointing at number 5. Now with that being said, I want you to understand that this distributor had a Ford symbol on it, looked like it had never been taken out, had grease on the, the distributor hold down bolt, and I cleaned it off when I put it back on, but that's besides the point. It looked like it hadn't been took out at all for the life of the vehicle. Now that we got that as evidence, I want you to keep that in the back of your heads. I call a good friend of mine that's worked on these things, and he told me, he said, well, the basic 3 things that you need for an engine run is spark, fuel, and compression. If you haven't got one of those 3, well, then you're just crap out of luck. So we got spark, and we got fuel, and even if we didn't have the right amount of fuel pressure, I sprayed ether inside the intake, and it still wouldn't do nothing. You figured that the ether would make up for the amount of fuel that we wasn't getting. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to do a compression test. I didn't really want to because I didn't want to, see the bad news. And I did it. And this is the results I got. Number 1, 40. Number 2, 50. Number 3, 48. Number 4, 32. Number 5, 30. Number 6, 42. Number 7, 45. And number 8, 45. Now, as far as compression goes, that's pretty low on the PSI rating scale. So being stumped, because I figured, well, if one side has that low of compression and the other side doesn't, because, when my wife put her finger over that hole, I could hear air coming out of it. I guess it just wasn't enough. I figured there might be a blowed head gasket and that it blowed in between the cylinders. But being that it's even across the board, both sides are like that, I was like, this is really stumping me. Because you would think if there was a couple bad cylinders that it would still jump off, try to run. Now it makes complete and perfect sense on why this thing ain't running. Well, it's because all cylinders don't have the compression that it's supposed to have. From what I understand, you're supposed to have 75% of what you're normally supposed to have, even for it to run, and it will run terribly at that. I think the goal compression that you're supposed to be at is between 130 and 150. If all those numbers had a 1 in front of them, we'd be golden, we'd be good. Wouldn't be no issue. And thinking about it, whenever this thing was turning over, I noticed that it was turning over a little bit too fast with them spark plugs in there. Which leads me to my third piece of evidence, which I'm thinking, what is wrong with this thing and what it's led me up to from what I've told you. I called Chris again, and I told him everything. And it could be 3 things. Number 1, somebody's got this thing really hot, and basically that ring that holds compression, well, it's stuck. And now none of the pistons have compression. But I kind of want to rule that out just for the fact that whenever I went to turn this thing over, it wasn't stuck. And if somebody got it, that hot
you figured the motor would be locked up. Number 2, still the head gasket theory. But you know, I checked the oil. It didn't have no antifreeze in it. It did smell a little bit like gas, but it's not like there was a bunch of gas in it. But my third option, that's the one that I'm betting on. And that is that it's jump timing. I know it's very rare for these 302s to jump timing, but I have seen some videos, and I've been researching this, YouTube, Google, ChatGPT. I've been doing everything. And from the videos that I've seen, those chains can get pretty wore to where there's at least 10 to 15 degrees, you know, on the ratchet when you're turning the crank, and when, you know, the rotor or the, you know, the little button up there is supposed to turn to hit to the terminal. So my thing is with the compression being off, with the distributor looking like it never been took out, and it being in the wrong place instead of where it's supposed to be, I'm thinking that we got a motor that's jump timing. Because honestly, I wouldn't think of anything else that would do this. You got to think that whenever it jumps time, it throws everything off between when the cam is supposed to open up the valves, and if it's just opening it up just a little bit and that air is pushing through, you ain't going to have no compression. And with it happening to all the cylinders, and with it being, you know, as even as it can be, I would say if those numbers had a 1 in front of it, this thing would be a running, firing engine. So with that being said, I just think that we got a motor that's jump timing. And, you know, we'll fix it. We'll tear it down. And if it didn't jump timing, well, then all we have to do is go back to the other theories. And the thing is if the motor's bad in this thing, you know, it can just be replaced. You know, this Bronco is worth, you know, fixing back up. It just puts a little bit of damper in our plans on, you know, us getting it here and hoping that it was just something small. Because now it's a little bit, you know, bigger. And you run into those things when you try to get these vehicles running again. So I hate that we wasn't able to wash this thing, you know, go through it and clean it out. I tried calling the guy that I bought this thing off of and get a hold of him and ask him if he wanted any of the stuff out of it, but I can't get a hold of him, and I can't get a hold of his grandpa. So I'm just gonna say we're good to go on everything that's in here. But there ain't no use in doing that if we can't get the thing running. We at least need to get the thing running and driving, and then it'd be worth, you know, cleaning up. So with that being said, fellers, you win some, you lose some. You know, we tried getting this thing running, but, you know, even though we didn't get it running, we figured something out about it, and thank the good Lord above for that, because if I'd hadn't figured that out, I'd have been thinking in my brain of what's wrong and, you know, not being able to figure it out, and it would have just, you know, been boiling and bubbling inside there and would have just ate at me, if you know what I mean. You know how it is when a man can't figure something out. Makes him go crazy. We're not the smartest creatures, but we might can get a Bronco running. I don't know why I just said that, because I didn't get it running in this video. So with that being said, fellers, I appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out. Was we able to get this thing running? No, I've done said that 1,000 times, but that doesn't mean that we still don't have the vision of seeing it running. And we'll figure it out. You know, I'll take this whole thing out and make another video about that and checking the timing chain, and if that's not it, well, I'll sit in the corner and cry, because then I have to go back through the process of what it could be, and then, you know what, I ain't even gonna go down that hole. We'll get to that when it comes to it. I am saying that it is the timing chain. I'm tired. I've been working on this thing for 2 days, taking spark plugs in and out, old ones and new ones, scratching up my arms, working in the sun on a stool, and I am just ready to sit down, relax, watch some TV, and eat me something good. Lord knows I need it. So with that being said, remember, Jesus loves you, I love you, and we'll see y'all fellers later.